Travis Etienne, I'm very interested in this Jags offense overall.
Right.
Where mainly I'm interested in Travis Hunter, who I think is one of the most fascinating players the rest of the season. But Etienne, just how the offense looks. I mean, we forget this team beat the Chiefs on primetime, and since then they've fallen off a cliff.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, you got basically poleaxed by Seattle, then absolutely poleaxed in London by the Rams. Trevor Lawrence has not looked good, and he is so key for Etienne's value in getting in scoring position. But ultimately, they're pushing towards 3.5-point favorites, the Jags. So theoretically, this should be a favorable matchup. You can't really ever trust Travis Etienne, but I think you can use him.
Yeah, the hope here, obviously, is that they fixed a lot of things during the bye week, right? And the workload is there. One game this year with fewer than 15 touches. His fantasy, he's not really involved in the passing game. The fantasy value has been, kind of pushed up by some of these long runs. But again, given the matchup, given the buys, the teams that are on bye this week, the hope that they've improved the offense out of the buys.
Right.
I'm at running back 17 this week. Like I said, I am reluctantly keeping it open, right? I mean, as you see it right there, he's been bad the last couple of weeks. But if there's a positive, he's still getting double-digit touches as part of this offense. And a couple of tough matchups. I mean, I know they got waxed by the Rams. The Rams are a good defense.
100%. And also, maybe you just hope for some positive regression in the touchdown area. I mean, it's just the fact that he hasn't scored makes such a difference in the average points per game. That's going to trend back at some point.
Yeah, there's some interesting value propositions in this game. In my fantasy league with some buddies back home in Australia, I had a trade lined up for the guy, Sean Carlos, who has Ken Walker on his team. And he wanted to trade Ashton Genty to me for Travis Etienne and Zach Charbonnet. And I was like, oh, I'll absolutely do that. I'll buy into the upside of Ashton Genty. We agreed to the trade, me and Sean, and then he knifed me. And he traded Ashton Genty and Amon-Ra St. Brown to another guy for Jonathan Taylor. Which, to be fair, he got Jonathan Taylor instead of Zach Charbonnet. But still, it was still a knifing.
It was a knifing, but here's the problem. As you know, Australia is filled with thieves.
Yes, by definition. It is in the blood.
It's literally, so you can't trust an Australian.
No.
This is your own fault
for
trusting an Australian.
Yeah, next time there will have to be something legally binding, apparently, in this league. So there are no friends in the trade game.
No.
It was only a verbal agreement?
Yeah, it was only a verbal agreement.
Yeah, in Australia, that doesn't mean much.
No. But I will say this, and this drives me crazy, and this is something I've ranted about before. I won't do it now. But what drives me crazy is that, to me, that's a trade. Like the people are like, oh, well, we didn't put it through the system.
Yeah.
That's just the paperwork. Now, if you and I negotiate a trade, and I say done deal, and you say done deal, and we shake on it, whether it's virtually or it's a done deal. Don't try to make a legal loophole with the paperwork. You know what I mean? Like a deal is a deal. You're gonna think I'm being crazy because it's a fake football trade. But I'm a big believer that your word should mean something. That I'm dead serious. There's a lot of criticisms you can make about me, all of which are true. But I will say this: when I tell you something, I mean it, and I follow through on that. I am,
barring like a ridiculous injury or something like that can kill a trade. That's the only
sure. I mean, I'm sure, but not even then. In that scenario, you guys have agreed to that trade, and then 3 hours later, it comes out that Ashton Genty gets injured at practice and he's done for the year or whatever, right? Trade should still go through. You guys agreed to a trade.
Yeah, I like it.
I mean, it is what it is. It's horrible luck, but it doesn't mean the trade should be undone. At the time he was healthy, you guys both made a trade, and just welcome to football. That's bad luck.
No, I explained what Sean did to my 7, 5, and 3-year-old daughters, and they were all horrified.
Yeah, of course.
It's a good life lesson.
It is a good life lesson.
You can't trust anyone in this caper
especially
anymore.
Australians.
Yeah, my 3-year-old was like, oh, you planned for the Raiders changing their offensive game plan in the bye week. You had all these things that you're looking forward to, Dad. Now it's all taken away from you. And you're stuck with Zach Charbonnet on your bench and the hope for Travis Etienne to break one.
I hope you're happy, Sean. You made a 3-year-old girl cry.
Let me ask
nice
you,
job.
Did you find out about his new trade just on your league, or did he text you and tell you about the new trade?
No, I was just in the group chat. It just went through without
that's
me.
That's really bad.
Unbelievable.
So,
so
in essence, it's like the equivalent of you have a date with a girl.
Yeah.
She cancels saying I'm sorry, I'm just not feeling well. And you go out to the local pub, and then there she is with another dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm scrolling through the chat, and it's like, Jonathan Taylor got traded? Why did Jonathan Taylor? He got traded to Sean? What's going on here? Unbelievable. I can't believe it. It's in shambles.
Yes.
That is a tough scene. Another tough scene is now figuring out the Carolina backfield. Rico Dowdle keeps passing the eye test, but just not enough opportunity with Chuba Hubbard back. Dave Canales spoke on Rico outperforming Chuba in recent games.
Yeah, it's a fair observation, and Chuba's meant a lot to this organization, certainly to the identity that we wanted to build our team on, and wanted to give Chuba the opportunity to go out there and to continue to impact our team in a positive way. We cannot ignore the fact that Rico has been exceptional, in a couple of games, and then in the opportunities he's had over the last 2 weeks, he's made some excellent plays. Love the tempo and violence that he's running with, and these are all things that we're talking about and working through this week as we look back, on these last 4 games and really taking a snapshot of what's been successful for us. These are conversations that we do definitely have to have.
So that was Dave Canales being pretty open and honest about the situation.
Dave Canales is open and honest about a lot of stuff that he probably shouldn't be.
Right.
Candidly, if you go through some of the history there. But specific to the running back, we appreciate it. Listen, as fantasy managers and analysts trying to figure out what this Carolina running back room looks like, we appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll see, because it's only been 8 points per game in the 2 games since Chuba's been back, Jay. So will they actually lean into Rico, and is that a risk that fantasy managers can afford right now?
The issue is that they're like 14-point dogs almost in Green Bay this week. So, yeah, I think Rico Dowdle is the guy that you want in that backfield. But, this is one of the more fraudulent 4-4 teams that we've ever seen. It's unbelievable that the team that showed up against the Bills on the weekend went into that game with a winning record through 7 weeks of the NFL season. But you look at the comparison between the secondary Chubler in Chuba Hubbard and the original Uncle Rico in Rico Dowdle. Since week 7, Chuba is seeing more of the snaps. Rico is the guy rushing the ball, and then Chuba is going to get the receiving work. Ultimately, it's like, all right, we've got this split backfield on a bad team. Like, what can we really do? If they have a favorable matchup, like they had against the Dolphins, for instance, then you feel good about Rico. But ultimately, this backfield is looking a lot worse than it might have a couple of weeks ago.
For no question, but again, just him saying we cannot ignore the fact that Rico has been exceptional. That's his way of saying, we need to get the ball Rico Dowdle more. Tom Garrett on Twitter, X has meant a lot to the organization as a kiss of death. Someone who has Rico, I love it. Dave Canales is trying to win football games out here, and and so listen. Is it a tough matchup against Green Bay? Absolutely. Do we think Chuba Hubbard just goes completely away? No, we don't. You're obviously not starting Chuba Hubbard, but I am, again, reluctantly keeping it up on Rico Dowdle. He's my running back 22 this week. He's averaging almost 6 yards per carry this year. We've seen him in games where it's been negative, where they're still running the ball. He's involved as a pass catcher. They're not scared to dump off the ball to him. So I get that the last 2 games have been bad, but assuming he plays more snaps, right? In the last couple of games, it's been sort of 55-45, 60-40 kind of, Hubbard playing more snaps than Dowdle being more effective. I think that switches this week based on Canales and the eye test and rational thought. Yep. We love the Chubler here, but, facts are facts.
Fans of the Chubler. Love is a strong term.
Really bad last week.
We're fond of the Chubler. Yeah. There's more of a fondness than an overbearing love.
Yeah. Our next running back, Jordan Mason, he's got the Lions. He has not had a game with 75-plus scrimmage yards since week 3 right now. Matthew, is this a player that you could even think about starting?
I'm closing it out. He's my running back 36. That Vikings offensive line, guys, is
injured.
Thank God for the Cincinnati Bengals, because if it wasn't for the Cincinnati Bengals, the Vikings might have the worst offensive line in football currently. Yes, it has been incredibly injured as well. And so you think about Aaron Jones being back last week, season lows in touches and snaps. He had only 5 touches, played 34% of the snaps. Now, that game got away from them quickly. Jones is more the pass catcher, and the offensive line just wasn't getting anything done. But in qualified running backs in fantasy points per touch, Jordan Mason ranks 42nd this week. 8.5-point underdogs to the Lions. If there's a way to attack the Lions defense, I feel like the secondary is much weaker than that front 7, which is pretty good against the run here. We also don't know what this offense looks like under J.J. McCarthy. Can't be that much worse than Carson Wentz, but there's so many question marks there that ideally you're looking elsewhere than starting Jordan Mason. I'm closing it out.
Yep. Last week, Connor, I vowed on the show to be the one who gets to the bottom of the J.J. McCarthy story. Unfortunately, I didn't. I don't have any answers.
You are not Pablo Torre.
So, unfortunately,
you are no Pablo Torre, right?
Unfortunately, Pablo Torre will remain the number 1 Asian insider reporting on sports stories. I may not even crack the list at all, but I do think think it is super interesting. Like, what is this offense going to look like with JJ McCarthy?
I mean,
is he going to be good? Is he going to be the worst quarterback in the NFL?
Right.
I'm ready for anything.
Is he going to run coming off another injury?
Yeah,
Because
right.
that's a big part of his game in fantasy for us.
Right.
Yeah.
And we don't know.
So, yeah, I think that the most likely outcome is that this offense doesn't look very good. And they're 8.5-point dogs in Detroit, so it doesn't bode well for game script. And McCarthy, when we last saw him, he did not look particularly good against the Falcons.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.